What if I told you there's a floating city worth 8 billion that's so massive, it could house 60,000 people? But that's just the beginning of this incredible journey through the world's most expensive yachts. From a 150 million party palace to a 1.5 billion floating fortress with missile defense systems, these aren't just boats, they're impossible dreams made real. Imagine swimming pools that transform into helicopter pads, snow rooms in tropical waters, and underwater restaurants where you dine with sharks swimming overhead. The richest people on Earth spend more on their yachts than entire countries spend on defense, creating floating monuments that defy logic and physics. We're about to explore 10 maritime masterpieces where billionaires have turned the ocean into their personal playground, each more outrageous than the last. Ready to discover which yacht owner spent more on gold tiles than most people earn in a lifetime, and why one floating palace needs 5,000 crew members just to keep it running? Lionheart. 50 million. Lionheart roars onto our list, like a majestic beast conquering the seas, proving that 150 million can buy you a slice of floating paradise that most people can only dream about. This 290-foot masterpiece belongs to British businessman Philip Green, and it's packed with more luxury than a 5-star resort. Imagine having your own private nightclub, complete with a dance floor that can accommodate 50 people. That's bigger than most New York apartments. The yacht features 6 decks of pure indulgence. The master suite alone spans 1,000 square feet, which is larger than the average American home. What's truly mind-boggling is that the annual running costs of Lionheart exceed 15 million. That's enough money to buy 300 luxury cars every single year, and you haven't even heard about the yacht that makes Lionheart look like a dinghy. Serene. 330 million. Serene glides through our rankings like a floating resort that makes luxury hotels look like budget motels. And at 330 million, it's got features that will make your jaw drop faster than an anchor in deep water. This 440-foot giant belongs to Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, and it's essentially a floating kingdom fit for royalty. The yacht boasts 2 helicopter pads, because apparently one wasn't enough for someone who owns half the world's oil reserves. Here's where things get absolutely insane. Serene has its own snow room where guests can experience a winter wonderland while cruising tropical waters, complete with real snow falling from the ceiling at sub-zero temperatures. The interior spans 7 decks and includes a full-sized spa, multiple pools, and a submarine that can dive 300 feet below the surface for underwater exploration. The dining room can seat 24 guests at a table made from a single piece of mahogany that took craftsmen 2 years to carve. But wait, it gets crazier. The yacht has an indoor climbing wall that's 65 feet tall, taller than most apartment buildings. What's absolutely mind-blowing is that Serene's fuel consumption is so massive that it costs $500,000 just to fill up the tanks. But that's pocket change compared to what the next yacht owner spends on champagne alone. Radiant. 320 million. Radiant blazes onto our list with a price tag of 320 million, proving that when Russian billionaire Alisher Usmanov wants to make a statement, he doesn't mess around with half measures. This 360-foot technological marvel is like having a NASA control center floating on water, equipped with more advanced systems than most spacecraft. The yacht features a beach club with a swimming platform that extends 40 feet from the stern, creating an instant resort wherever it drops anchor. But here's the kicker that'll blow your mind. Radiant has a garage that can store a 40-foot speedboat, jet skis, and diving equipment, essentially carrying an entire marina inside its hull. The interior design cost alone exceeded 50 million, featuring rare woods and materials sourced from every continent except Antarctica. The master suite occupies an entire deck and includes a private study with more books than most small-town libraries. What's absolutely incredible is that Radiant's communication systems are so advanced that the owner can run his billion-dollar empire from anywhere in the world. But here's what's really wild. The annual maintenance budget is 32 million, which means they spend more on upkeep than most people will earn in 10 lifetimes. And that's just the beginning of the extravagance you're about to witness. Dubai. 400 million. Dubai emerges from the waters like a floating city that puts actual cities to shame. And at 400 million, this 500 million-foot leviathan redefines what it means to live large on the high seas. Owned by Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the ruler of Dubai, this yacht is essentially a floating extension of his empire. The yacht features 7 decks that house amenities most 5-star resorts would envy, including multiple pools, a helicopter hangar, and accommodations for 115 guests. That's more than some cruise ships. But here's where your brain will start melting. The yacht's VIP suite is larger than most people's entire homes, spanning 1,500 square feet with floor-to-ceiling windows offering 360-degree ocean views. Here's the crazy part. The yacht consumes 1,000 gallons of fuel per hour while cruising, which means a single day of operation costs more than most people spend on gasoline in a decade. But wait until you see what happens when engineering meets pure madness in our next entry. Motor Sailing Yacht A, 440 million motor yacht. Sails into our rankings looking like something that escaped from a sci-fi movie. And at 440 million, this 469-foot architectural marvel proves that Russian billionaire Andrei Melnichenko doesn't follow conventional rules when it comes to yacht design. Designed by Philippe Starck, this vessel looks more like an alien mothership than a traditional yacht, with angular lines that cut through water like a knife through butter. The yacht's most jaw-dropping feature is its 3 rotating masts that are each 300 feet tall, taller than the Statue of Liberty, and can be controlled entirely by computer systems that adjust to wind conditions automatically. But here's where things get absolutely bonkers. The yacht has an underwater observation pod that descends below the hull, allowing guests to dine while watching marine life swim past floor-to-ceiling windows. The interior spans 8 decks, and includes a master suite with a revolving bed that offers 360-degree views, because apparently staying in one direction was too boring for a billionaire. What's completely insane is that Motor Yacht A has bomb-proof glass throughout the entire vessel, armor plating on the hull, and security systems that would make Pentagon officials jealous. The yacht's swimming pool can be covered by a retractable glass floor, transforming it into a dance floor that's literally suspended over water. Here's the mind-blowing part. This technological masterpiece took 8 years to build and required innovations in maritime engineering that didn't exist when construction began. But you won't believe the floating fortress that's coming next. Topaz, 527 million. Topaz cuts through our rankings like a golden blade across azure waters, and at 527 million, Deputy Prime Minister Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed Al Nahyan makes luxury look effortless. This floating palace features amenities that would make ancient Egyptian pharaohs weep with envy, including a helicopter hangar large enough to store 2 aircraft and a garage that houses a collection of water toys worth more than most people's houses. The yacht's most incredible feature is its master suite, which occupies an entire deck and includes a private elevator, office, and balcony larger than most hotel lobbies. But here's where your mind will be completely blown. The yacht can accommodate 62 guests in 26 staterooms, each designed with unique themes inspired by different world cultures, essentially making it a floating museum of international luxury. Here's the kicker that'll make you question reality. Topaz burns through 1 million worth of fuel per month during active cruising, but that's just pocket change compared to the floating technological marvel that's about to make your head spin. Azzam, 600 million. Azzam rockets into our top 4 like a golden arrow piercing through the ocean, and at 50-90 feet long, this 600 million speed demon holds the title of the world's largest private yacht, while simultaneously being fast enough to outrun most Coast Guard vessels. Owned by UAE President Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, this floating palace can reach speeds of 35 knots, which is absolutely mind-blowing for something the size of a cruise ship. The yacht's construction required innovations in naval architecture that didn't exist before, including a revolutionary hull design that reduces drag while maintaining stability in rough seas. But here's where physics meets pure insanity. Azzam can accelerate from 0 to full speed in just 15 minutes, covering distances that would take normal yachts hours to traverse. The interior features the largest yacht salon ever built, spanning 95 feet in length and accommodating 200 guests for formal events, essentially turning the ocean into a floating ballroom. What's absolutely staggering is that Azzam's main engines produce 94,000 horsepower combined, which is more power than 300 sports cars running simultaneously. The yacht's fuel tanks hold enough diesel to power a small city for a week, and when running at full speed, it consumes fuel faster than some small countries use oil. The construction process took over 4,000 craftsmen working for 4 years, using materials sourced from 40 different countries and techniques passed down through generations of master shipbuilders. Here's the part that'll make you question the laws of physics. Despite its massive size, Azzam draws only 14 feet of water, allowing it to access harbors that most smaller yachts cannot enter. But wait until you witness the floating city that makes even Azzam look modest. Streets of Monaco. 1.1 billion. Streets of Monaco crashes into our top 3 with a price tag of 1.1 billion, proving that Monaco-based developer Yacht Island Design decided to literally recreate Monte Carlo on water, complete with streets, casinos, and buildings that float. This isn't just a yacht. It's a 509-foot floating replica of Monaco itself, featuring scaled-down versions of iconic landmarks including the Monte Carlo Casino, Hôtel de Paris, and even a functional racetrack. But here's where engineering meets complete madness. Streets of Monaco has working streetlights, actual roads where guests can drive small cars, and buildings with multiple floors that house everything from luxury boutiques to Michelin-starred restaurants. What's absolutely mind-melting is that the yacht includes a functional tennis court, multiple swimming pools at different levels, and a helicopter pad disguised as a Monaco building rooftop. The construction required creating new technologies for stabilizing buildings on a moving platform, essentially solving engineering problems that didn't exist before this project. But you haven't seen anything yet. Wait until you discover the floating fortress that makes Streets of Monaco look like a toy boat. Eclipse. 1.5 billion. Eclipse dominates our runner-up position like a floating fortress worth 1.5 billion. And when Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich decided to build the ultimate yacht, he created something that's part luxury vessel, part military installation, and entirely mind-blowing. This 533-foot behemoth features security systems so advanced that it has its own missile defense system, because apparently regular yacht security wasn't paranoid enough for someone worth 12 billion. The yacht includes 2 helicopter pads, a 16-meter swimming pool, and a disco that can accommodate 200 dancers, essentially turning any anchorage into the world's most exclusive nightclub. What's completely insane is that Eclipse burns through 2 million worth of fuel per month and requires a crew of 92 people working in shifts to maintain 24/7 operations. The yacht's armored plating can withstand small arms fire, the windows are bulletproof, and it has escape pods in case of emergency, essentially making it a floating panic room for the ultra-paranoid ultra-wealthy. The wine cellar stores bottles worth 50 million combined, and the yacht has enough provisions to stay at sea for months without resupplying. Here's the mind-bending part. Eclipse's annual operating costs exceed 60 million, which means it costs more to run this yacht for 1 year than most countries spend on their entire navy. But even this floating fortress pales in comparison to the impossible floating city that claims our #1 spot. Pangeos, 8 billion. Pangeos explodes into our #1 position with a price tag of 8 billion, and this isn't just the most expensive yacht ever conceived. It's a floating city shaped like a giant turtle that redefines what's possible on water. Designed by Italian firm Lazzarini Design Studio, this 1,800-foot-long terrayacht is so massive it would dwarf every other yacht on this list combined, accommodating up to 60,000 guests in what essentially amounts to a floating metropolis. The design includes beaches, forests, shopping districts, and residential areas, creating a completely self-sustaining ecosystem that could theoretically never need to touch land again. But here's where engineering meets pure science fiction. Pangeos features its own weather control system, waste processing plants, and energy generation facilities that could power small countries, essentially making it an independent floating nation. The yacht includes multiple harbors that can dock hundreds of smaller vessels, helicopter landing zones scattered across its surface, and submarine ports built into its hull that create underwater cities beneath the main structure. The vessel's operating costs will exceed 100 million annually, proving that maintaining a floating civilization requires civilization-sized budgets. This turtle-shaped titan represents the absolute pinnacle of human engineering ambition, where yacht design meets urban planning and creates something that shouldn't be possible, but somehow exists anyway.